So I would like to introduce the whole panel of hiring myths and trends today for you. Chelsea Hunter, who will moderate this panel. She is currently the co-op coordinator for Computing Professional Master Program at Simon Fraser University. We welcome Nina. As I told you, she is currently the recruitment manager at Unbounce. Lara, who is the mobile data engineer manager at Electronic Arts, and Fariba, who just gave you a talk about AI for Earth. So please welcome the whole panel with me.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Great. Before I introduce myself, I just want to acknowledge and recognize that we are on the unceded traditional lands of the traditional Coast Salish lands, including the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam nations. Thank you. So yeah, like Ha said, I am the co-op coordinator for our SFU's Professional Master of Science in Computer Science. We have two specializations, big data and visual computing. And my job is to connect with kind of aspiring data scientists and help them find really valuable and exciting co-op opportunities within companies who are doing innovative, interesting things in the realm of data science. So why I think this panel is so interesting for me to moderate today is because the main role of my job is to connect with employers, find out what they're looking for, what's the best way they can connect and hire from our talented pool of students, and then translating that to, or sharing that information and supporting our students to shift the way that they're thinking about their own job search and whether or not they kind of breaking down the myths that they have going into their job search and helping them kind of approach their job seeking kind of in line with the trends that I'm kind of collecting and hearing from employers. So I will leave the panelists up to kind of introducing themselves. But I'm really excited to kind of dive into this topic today and kind of hear from diverse female perspectives. Thank you.
Okay.
Laura, do you want to go first then?
Yeah, sure. I'm Lara, Gerard. I work at Electronic Arts in the Global Analytics and Insights Department. I manage a team of engineers that work with our sports titles at EA Vancouver, as well as our Fire Monkeys studio in Melbourne, Australia. We have a small team of remote engineers out there as well. And so anything I could help with in terms of insight, I would be happy to provide.
And you all know me. So I took 15 minutes to introduce myself, so not anymore.
Hi everyone, my name's Nina. I work at the recruitment team at Unbounce. I've only been there for around 5 months, so this is a bit of a, hello everyone. But I work with a team of recruiters to work across our product and revenue units. We are recruiting for roles within data science at the moment. My experience has predominantly been within the recruitment world, so definitely can give lots of perspective as to what it's like to be on the other side, hints and tips, a bit of advice, and just generally a bit of help, because I know that it's quite difficult sometimes to break the barriers to get in. There's lots of obstacles, so I'd love to open the discussion around that too.
Great. Thank you. So I'm going to ask a few questions. Not everyone has to answer the questions, but if you have something to contribute, please do. So just to kind of go on what you were just saying about the obstacles, do you feel, or can you comment on the major obstacles or challenges that women face kind of getting into the data science sector? I mean, maybe not just you, but anyone else.
Is it okay if I take this one? Yeah, I think generally just women in tech, it's definitely something that we have to give consideration to as companies hiring. And women traditionally have roles as caregivers or raising families, and sometimes there's these interruptions in their life where there are other things that come up that they have to take care of that can take them off this career trajectory. That perhaps people that aren't women don't have to face. So that's definitely a bit of a stereotype, but I feel like it's one that still happens to this day. Us as an organisation at Unbounce, it's something that we are very, very much aware of, and what we try to do around that, and not just around women in the workplace, it's all genders, so fathers as well, or anyone that is a caregiver. We try to create that balance of having that flexibility. You know, if you need to go and pick up whoever from school or drop someone off and come into work a bit later or earlier, that shouldn't be a problem in this day and age. Everyone should be able to be flexible in their workplace. We have lots of people who work remotely, again, due to their own circumstances. I feel like that's something that should be done more as well. You know, we shouldn't put these barriers up to say, you need to be in this office at this specific time, if actually their role could be done from elsewhere. So it's about breaking down those barriers, no matter what gender, to make sure that we are getting the best people out there in the market for the roles that we have. And it's a serious consideration, the obstacles that not just women face, just people generally living their lives day to day, and everything that comes up from personal life to professional as well. These are all things that we have to think about.
Can you comment on if EA or Microsoft has those kind of
I would say, like, there is a gender gap issue. There are so many obstacles coming from that. But my comment on this is apply for jobs. We did a little research in Microsoft. They want to have a diverse team, but women were not applying for those jobs. So how could they do that? And we figured that this is the problem is with the way we write the job description. Women tend to think that I should check all of the boxes before applying. At least 90% of it, if I'm a superwoman and I'm just open to new opportunities, men usually do 50%. It is not a research, as I say, researchers, so don't go and quote me, but this is what we saw. So we did a little experiment of let's women write the job descriptions, but eventually it will be to you to value yourself and then apply for the job. And the worst case will be that you're rejected. That doesn't really, I don't care. I haven't shared this with so many people. I applied for this job that I am on now for 3 times, and I got it. And every time I learned something. I was in university, applied, I said, you don't have any experience in industries, I will get it. You don't have any experience with the customers and customer-facing roles, I will get it. And the 3rd time, I had all of those checked, and I got the job. So it's just apply for jobs.
Yeah, definitely. I think just not being afraid and thinking that you're not capable or you're not qualified. What Nina was saying, I work from home mostly. I'm a remote employee because I work with a lot of offices that are remote, so I'm fortunate enough to be able to work from home. I'm a single mom of 5 kids under 13.
Wow.
So, thank you. So it's challenging, and it's challenging for all of us, whether you have one child, whether you're a single parent, whether you're married, whether you're a single dad. It's hard, but you know that's not a reason to not get out there and try. EA is incredibly supportive of Family First. I'm very fortunate to work with a terrific team of people who understand that we have an aging group now of people that are in their 30s. I'm kidding. Who are, of the age where, they are now having families, their kids are growing, and family dynamics are changing. So, companies that are able to stay with that trend and keep up with that, I think it's a really good thing. So I'm very fortunate at EA to have that.
Can I just kind of add to that? Are there things that the companies are specifically doing to allow, like remote working, but what else have you seen companies kind of shifting towards kind of supporting their employees?
I think it's the remote is the big one. I think also just the ability to have flexible hours. Yeah. Flexibility in your workday. It's not always a 9 to 5. I certainly don't work 9 to 5. I work with our Melbourne office, so their hours are completely different. Their day starts at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, I go pick up my kids, I come back, I do some work with them. So, yeah, I think it's just the ability to have that flexibility and not always looking at, your work day or your workspace has to be somewhere within a certain time frame. Right?
And I think, to add to that, I think they are training their employees to understand the differences So like I was really uncomfortable after 3 months on a job to tell my manager that I am pregnant and I will be on a leave in 6 months. And I was so uncomfortable that I said, oh, I don't take the 1 year maternity leave. I will get only 6 months. And then my manager told me, relax. You deserve that. Take that time and go away. Just be with your family. And like, I think like big companies and like smaller companies are catching up. They are training their employees, mostly male, like men on the jobs, to understand the differences and accept those differences between men and women, and let everyone do the job that they are hired to do, but in their own space. And if you need any other support, then they are ready to they will be giving you. I can't really count so many times that I submitted a vacation time because I needed to do something for my daughter, and my manager just rejected that, said that no, this is an emergency leave. Don't put it as your time off. Put it as emergency leave. You deserve that. Take the time off. Go and do whatever you need to do. So he could easily say that, okay, approved, you can take the day off and go. But he took the time to realize that even if I'm not comfortable asking for something personal that I deserve and my company has really put policies for, he is the one to support me and tell me it is okay, take the time, use the benefits that the company has put for you and just be comfortable with it.
You'd be amazed how many companies now are doing that. It's surprising because I didn't think that these opportunities were out there to have the ability to be flexible. I've been on calls with clients or with other studios where I have a son who has ADHD, and quite often I'm called by the school to come into the school because he has a lot of issues, and I've literally had my phone and the school calling me saying you have to come in, and I've messaged somebody else on my team or my manager saying, can you jump in here? And he's like, 100%, family first. So you'd be surprised. It's changing now, and it's changing positively.
That's really great to hear. Do you see opportunities for women to advance kind of in your fields that you're working in?
Definitely.
Yeah.
From a very personal point of view, within our organisation, we reach gender parity. So we have 50-50 within a tech organisation, which is absolutely amazing. But on top of that, our senior leadership team are also 50-50 in terms of the gender split.
Wow.
Thank you. Which is just testament to what we see should be the norm. Absolutely everywhere, not just within women-dominated industries. I feel like one of the things that I definitely think Unbounce has looked at is that kind of keg culture that would come with traditionally tech organisations that sometimes wouldn't allow for women to break those barriers. Those underground secret groups that people would have conversations in that the men would be able to, excel their careers in, that women wouldn't have access to because of other things that are going on.
It's like a bro culture.
It's a bro culture, definitely. So we have really tried to address that, and not just on gender, down to religion as well, and just down to personal preference. Not everyone wants to drink beer on a Friday, and not everyone wants to play ping pong. That's just not their interest. So it's really about addressing things like that are the typical and the norm, or what have become the norm, and really breaking that down to what do people actually need and want, and how can we support everyone as opposed to alienate certain parts of the population. So I feel like that's definitely one thing that's super important to kind of acknowledge.
I think there is a new norm. It's really a new norm. Companies are trying to get to that. They have set the policies. And there is this space for us. I think we should be comfortable using that space. If they want to fill the gender gap, get hired and fill that gender gap. Be comfortable with those opportunities that are given. Unfortunately, after getting hired, you will be, there's so many conversations around, you were hired just because you were a woman, like a female employee, and they wanted desperately to hire someone. To say that we don't have a gender gap in our hiring process. They're trying to address those issues. No company will hire you just to hire women. They will hire you because you are good at it. And if there are some conversations aftermath, then you're trying to address that. But in my belief, we should take advantage of that gap and just fill as many positions as we can.
Kind of to go off that then, when I know there's many ways that people get jobs. It's not just applying with a resume. But when, I mean, all of your roles, I'm sure you've reviewed a number of resumes. Can you comment on what helps a resume get selected, or a person's resume get selected for an interview, and kind of what's, you know, a do not do this that gets them to the bottom of the pile?
I applied for so many jobs. You do one mistake, you send one resume to so many positions. That's if you want to do brute force type of an experiment. Just let's see what's out there, who will call me. Or you can study, learn what you're doing in terms of the company, what that company really needs, and then adjust your resume for that role. But even after that, like, you should be good at what you do, and you should be good at writing down what you are capable of doing. It's not a simple task of saying, I do machine learning or I do data science. They want to see evidence in what you are claiming. And if you do that right, you will get that first call, and then you prepare for that first call, and then you get into the interview process. So it's just as much prep as you can put into that. That would be, like in my idea, that would be the thing you need, and the rest will follow. If you are a good technical person, or you are a good business person, whatever you are, if you do your research on the company, on people who are already on the job and doing the job, you can easily spy on people, what I call it, on LinkedIn, on social media, wherever. You can find people who are currently on your job in that company, see what they are posting, what are the skill sets on their LinkedIn that they are referring to. And then if you have them, we don't really lie, but if you have them, put them on your resume. Just like customize your resume for the hiring manager that will look into that. Even doing that, it's not 100% guaranteed that you will get hired, but we all will try. I think I applied for the role that I am currently in a different country inside Microsoft, applied through the internal job application process that Microsoft has, and said, this is me in another country. Like, there is no one else better than me to get hired for this one. And like, you can imagine, the hiring managers wouldn't even see my resume. So whatever the recruitment side of the things are doing, like, I can't really criticize them, but they filtered me out for the job that I am doing. And then when I reached out to the hiring manager, I said, oh, yeah, I haven't seen your resume, but you were hired. So it is just like so many things involved, but we can do our best to put in the right resume and find the right person on LinkedIn to ping. They will not respond, probably, but maybe 1 in 100 will respond and say, oh, I like you. Let's talk and see what you have.
Fariba's really, really correct in that research. Know where you're going to, apply. Know who you're talking to, and networking is hugely important too. Network. I can't stress it enough. Talk to people. If if you're interested in a company, talk to their HR. Ask somebody. Can I speak to somebody who does that job? Can I find out what would be qualifications that I would need? Don't be afraid to reach out, because you'd be surprised. Lots of companies will reach back because they're looking for people, and they're looking for those people that are energetic and passionate and really want to find out about the company and the opportunities within it. So those would be the people that I would be interested in, are those really passionate and proactive people.
Just adding to your network comment, I would say, people say build your career network. I would say build your career friends. It is just, when you are on a job, don't think as you are hired, you are doing a job. Use those people. Build a real connection, not just someone on LinkedIn.
Agreed.
build a friendship so that when they move into another company, they know you as their ideal data scientist. And when there is a job opening, without you asking, they will ask you to join them. And this is, I think, what happened to me. Like, I applied for this job 2 times. I'm just tired. Maybe that's not the role. And the 3rd time, I just moved to Vancouver. I was good with my job in Bank of Canada. And then someone from Microsoft in Toronto, who I worked with in university and I worked for her in a startup, pinged me and said, "Do you want this job?" I said, "I don't know." And she said, "Believe me, you are a fit." And I said, "I know, but I have already tried that." And said, "I don't care, just get that." And her recommendation on the profile or on my application was all I needed. So it happened after 8 years of being connected to that person. So if you are good and you build a relationship, not just a network career, for a career, just a friendship for your own, like, not to be selfish, but just you can be also an asset to them. So just build that real relationship. Just don't look at it as a coworker or someone on LinkedIn. Try to know people and just build something between yourselves that can benefit you in long term.
I would definitely agree on that respect. At Unbounce, we have a huge culture of referring people to roles. We feel like that's the best way to find people, because you're hopefully not going to refer someone that you don't like and who isn't very good at their job, because you'll be working with them. So we feel like people building your networks, that's the best way to get into an organisation. You are normally fast-tracked through the process, in all honesty, because you've been recommended by someone who already works at the organisation and they can vouch for you and they think you're a good person and you have the same values that we hold as an organisation. So why wouldn't we look at your application first? So definitely do that, but also what Fariba mentioned about tailoring your applications, I would say that's super important. Yes, you should apply to as many jobs as possible, but also take the care and attention to really look at every single job and make sure that you're tailoring your application to that role, and the recruiter or hiring manager doesn't feel like it's sort of a mass email that they've had and you haven't even bothered to change things that aren't relevant to this particular role. That kind of stuff really matters, I think. Just with some figures in mind, we had a data scientist role. We had over 700 applications for that position. So you can only imagine how much screening we had to do as recruiters. So you have to show a bit of personality in your resume as well. Don't be afraid to talk about things that are of interest to you. We're all people, we're not robots, and we are going to be spending so long within the workplace. It's important to understand what you're like as a person as well, not just your technical skill set. So I would always say don't be afraid of showing a bit of personality with it as well.
That's super important. And it's funny how you can connect your skills in different areas. So like I don't mean to be harping on this whole parenthood thing, but how many times have I been able to raise my children in interviews? Like, oh yeah, managing a team, I totally can relate to that, because it's just like managing my kids, right? Or, my kid did that the other day and this is how I dealt with it. And there are different ways that you can bring your expertise or your knowledge in different areas to positions that you'd be surprised, right? And bring it in a human way.
Yeah.
If you talk to people like you're a parent, you're a sister, a brother, you're a lot of different people other than just an employee. So bring that to your interview for sure.
That's great. Just to kind of go on kind of skills and experience, is there an area that you feel that you've been noticing lacking in kind of applicants or resumes or candidates that you've been kind of interacting with for your various kind of roles? Like a trend in skills or experience, a gap?
I don't think there's necessarily anything I've been noticing as a gap. We generally, with the role that we had 700 applications for, we didn't get a lot of females applied for that role, so it was probably under 10% of females applied for that role, which is a very low percentage. So I felt like we weren't getting a true view of the market, and maybe it's the things that you mentioned, that people weren't applying just because they thought they weren't good enough for the job, which is such a shame.
I don't know. It just, as women, we tend to think that we should be perfect at everything. And that's what we take into our career as well. We should be a perfect mom. We should be a perfect friend. If a friend is calling and we are not picking, we feel really sad, especially if they come back to say, oh, at that moment I really needed you for that personal matter, and I know I'm really the worst friend ever. So this is what we do. We want to be perfect, and that doesn't really work when you are applying for a job. Worst case, you will be rejected, and no one really knows except yourself. So why not trying? I don't want to push you to say apply for random stuff, but just be comfortable with being rejected and don't take it personally as, oh, I wasn't good enough. It is just, I can't tell you how many interviews I had that I wasn't really looking for a job, but I wanted to know if in 1 year I want to look for a job, what is that I'm missing? I do so many crazy stuff that I only know, and I can share with you later, but it's just do that. Did I do an interview with Google? Of course. Was I really looking for a job? No. But I wanted to know what is out there so that if in 1 year I want to get a job at Google, I could. Those are the things that you really need to explore. And I do it even if I'm not looking for something, just as a training for myself. I don't do it every day. Just once a year, maybe I want to refresh what is out there. Because when you are on a job, you get used to, you get trained really hard on one thing that you are doing. And then if you want to move out of that and do something different, then I don't know.
Yeah.
So just try.
Yeah, I mean, statistics are not always on our side, right? I was just looking at some statistics before coming here. In mechanical, software, and computer engineering, women comprise about 14% of students, just 13% of licensed engineers in the country are women, according to Engineers Canada. A lot of our girls think that, oh, well, that's just not, I mean, I know it sounds stereotypical, but it's very true. The boys play with the Lego and the girls play with the pretty pink Lego with dolls, it's nice to see now that there are organizations coming together and there are universities coming together to help to bring camps for coding. And I know at my children's school they do coding as well, which is fantastic because it's creating that visibility around this is something that we can all do. I sit in meetings constantly where I'm maybe one of 2 women in a room of 20 men. In the video game industry is notoriously bad for this. We're working very hard to create gender parity, but it's out there, it's rampant. But that's not a reason why you shouldn't try. It's not a reason why you shouldn't encourage, your daughters, your nieces, your friends, people that are in school, the young people, because this is an amazing industry that's growing and it's so important. And I see that at EA. I mean, just being involved in it and the information that we gather and what we can do, to improve our games and our products, it's fascinating. So why shouldn't it be, known and open to all, right?
There's some questions here from the group. There's quite a few in asking about skills and experience necessary that's required. Is applied work experience in data science necessary when applying for data science positions, or is it specific skills that are more important?
I think it depends on the role in terms of what level that position is at and the level of experience we're looking for. I would say for entry-level roles, absolutely not. However, when you do get real-life work experience, that will definitely put you on a better foot, if I'm honest, because it means that you have been in that world, you have understood how to apply the things that you've learned in theory into practice, so it does give you that advantage. However, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't be considered. It's something to consider when you're going out there. For other positions, as you go on in your career and gain more experience, I would say it's that mixture of having both. When we interview at Unbounce, it's very much the behavioural aspect, but also the technical aspect as well. So how do you behave as an individual? How do you interact with your colleagues? Do you treat them in a respectful way? And do you work in a way that's going to be collaborative and get the best results? That's super important to us. We don't want to bring in people who are going to be slamming their fists on the desk and getting angry when they don't get their own way. That's just not comfortable or nice at all. So I would say it's definitely a mixture of both the technical but also the soft skills that are really important as well.
I would add to that and say someone on LinkedIn talked about this concept, and I can't really quote her because I don't know her name. But she said, just prepare for the interviews and just prepare yourself for those uncomfortable moments that you are entering a room and all the people in the room are men interviewing you. Those uncomfortable moments will not go away, not soon. Just be ready. Whatever you do, I have my own way of dealing with that. Like my mind in a 0 and 1 type of world. For HR screening, I will get a woman. When I get into the technical aspects, I will see men, women, mostly men. When I get to the hiring manager, it's definitely a man. So I think I'm in that situation. Those uncomfortable moments, if you feel uncomfortable in front of people who are all not having the same gender as you have, those moments will not go away. Just prepare yourself so that you can show yourself in that environment. And I can talk a lot later about what are the technical aspects is that you need. But just for me, just being to present yourself in those uncomfortable situations would be the key.
I think we're going to take some questions from the audience now as well.
Hi, really interesting. I was wondering, you've talked a bit about what we should do as applicants to make our resumes better and to, just apply to all the jobs that we see. But I was wondering if you had anything to say about, let's say I'm already in a company and then I see that, maybe there's a team that's not really prioritizing gender parity and I feel like I should bring it up. Do you have any ideas on how you could start that conversation?
Bring it up. Just bring it up. And it's speak up, right? Go to your HR coordinator, depending on how your company is organized. That's something that needs to be raised and talked about. We have at EA a women's ultimate team where it's, a group of women who gather and they network and they watch presentations, and we talk about this often, that quite often we're afraid to raise these things. So we notice something, we're like, oh, I'm not gonna be the person raising that. It's important that you do, right? Because that's the only way we're going to change things.
Hey, I feel like I have a lot of questions. Can you give some advice on what someone with a foreign name who may not come across as a female might do on their resume to basically highlight that they're female?
There's he, she a lot now, I see.
So adding your pronouns is an acceptable...
I see that a lot,
Okay.
even with common names, brackets, she, her,
Yeah.
Or he, him. So
Okay.
maybe that's an idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi. First of all, thank you for sharing so much. We are really happy to listen to all this. My question is more, not more on the side of women gender gap, but right now, especially what I can see in Vancouver, if companies are posting for vacancies, they are looking for people either with high amount of experience. Number of experience should be high, even for an intermediate level job, or they are looking for a very familiar background, maybe a company that they look for, this is a best company, they can do right kind of work, so the employees from that company are highly trained and we can look for that. So when the market is looking for either one of those things, how you can break into that?
Well, in my experience, companies put high expectations because they want to get the best. And you are the best if you know so many things, and they put it out there because you are an ideal candidate if you have all of those. Usually what they get is just this much, and they're fine with it because you can really do everything and anything in this world. They put it out there, maybe they can find a unicorn somehow. If they can, then the next best person is the person to hire. And that's why I think just hire, just apply. You will be hired or not. That's something on their side. But just you can really do it all. You can just hope that they will see what you have and what you can contribute to that job, and they will hire you.
I've experienced this personally myself. Obviously, I'm not Canadian, still a Canadian accent. When I first moved to Vancouver a year and a half ago, I found it really hard to find a job. And I'd been working in London for 6 years, but everyone wanted local experience. And I just found that quite devastating, actually. I thought, hang on a second, London is really busy. It's really comparable. We both speak the same language. What could be so different? So what I did was really think outside of the box and look at companies that were smaller, that probably would be more willing to take that risk on someone who didn't have local experience, and really try to bridge that gap in terms of what they were looking for. The second time around, when I started looking for another position, I did find it much easier because I had that local experience. So I would definitely say you just have to keep trying. You just have to keep on networking. That absolutely helped me within my job search as well. And just trying to find those companies that are a bit more open-minded in terms of what they're looking for. I would say the smaller ones probably would be a bit more open-minded as well. Yeah, that's a personal experience that I had, but I can definitely relate to that.
So my question is on the seniority level that you have on LinkedIn. So you come across a situation where, for example, you've shortlisted, you've selected a filter where you want entry-level positions only, and you fit in all the skill set as well, probably 80% of that, but they ask for 5 to 6 years of experience in it. And what happens is that then we are encouraged to still apply to such positions. We apply, we get rejected, and then we get an email saying that you cannot apply for the next 6 months or 12 months in this company. And then you get a posting in the same entry-level position with probably experience level for 1 to 2 years. So in such situations, what do? Like you take the risk of applying to that posting, despite it having 6 years of experience, and then again another posting comes where you are a proper match, but now you can't apply. So in such situations, what would you recommend us to do? Or like, should we go like talk to the HR and say that, oh, this was the situation, or like, you know, how to deal with such things as people who are new into this industry?
That's frustrating.
Really frustrating. Oh my gosh.
I would probably go and talk to the HR people, because then you're not just a number, you're not just a resume coming through your person with your situation or this issue. Go talk to them. Why not? Right?
Well, what I do is just I find that recruiter, and so many of them are freelancers. Like they get paid if they hire you. Like get that person interested in your profile, and they will make it work. There is no hard written type of a rule in HR, and find a person to help you, an employee, someone, a recruiter, like convince them that you are a good fit, and just let them do the job for you.
Hi.
I'm at the back. No,
Yeah,
sorry.
So I just have a question on the level of education you need to enter as a data scientist. I've been doing a lot of reading saying it's really important, you should have a PhD, or you don't need a PhD, or you need a master's, or you don't. As recruiters, when you're looking at resumes, what is kind of the accepted level of education that's needed to say this person can be an entry-level data scientist?
It depends
on the job.
It depends on the job. It depends on what the team's looking like at that point in terms of what skill set we have and what we're looking for to bridge that gap. I would always say, like Fariba mentioned, just apply. That's the best thing you can do in that situation if you're not quite sure. I don't think there's a set level. I really don't. I feel like we're pretty open-minded, and we always look at the situation as it is before deciding exactly what we're looking for. We try to make it clear on the posting as well if there is a specific requirement. But I would say even if you don't meet that requirement, sometimes we can't find everything we're looking for. So sometimes education will be the first thing where we go back and say, actually, we can't find someone with all of these points and the education. Maybe we need to put the education back to one side and look at other skill sets.
Combination,
so,
yeah.
Absolutely. So, sorry, that's not a good answer. But
I would add, like, it's not about education, it's about experience, and proving that you can get the job done. Education would be only one way of accomplishing that, showing that you know what you're doing. but it's not the only way. So if you have experience in the industry, you can write your resume to reflect that, and they will accept your experience. The only things that I have seen, education helped a lot, and you can speak to it better than me, but this is my personal experience. Not getting the job, but then after you get the job, you can maybe like easily go up the ladder in the company because they count your education as a work experience. They add it up, and then suddenly you have 10 years of experience. Well, only 5 years of it was a researcher in university. It is just the things that can help you along the way, but like just knowing the job and proving that you can get the job done would the thing that would matter most to like every company, I would say.
Yeah. And it's about applying experience that isn't necessarily data science experience. You can apply experience from all aspects of your life as long as you can apply it to the role that you're seeing and making sure that you're being specific about the skill set that you're using and the behaviors that you're using within whatever it is you're doing. It could be raising a family, it could be a part-time activity, you could be a painter, whatever it is that you think is relevant to what you're applying for, make sure you include that as well. I feel like that's really important.
With that, we will wrap up the discussion panel, and then afterwards you can stay up a little bit and give more questions to the panel or the panelists if you have more questions with that. Thank you so much.